So today I'm going to be doing some more reading from this wonderful text, When We Ruled. When We Ruled is written by Robin Walker, who is a historian who has done some extensive work on the history of Africa and the impact of Africa over the entire world. And he talks about ancient civilizations and things that happened before enslavement. Um, and yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. So today's reading is going to be from chapter 1, and it is titled, What is Black History? What is Black history? Malcolm X, Mary Seacole, slavery, clanic societies, the man who invented the traffic lights. Clearly, the history of Black people dates back to a period well before they were enslaved and colonized. That there is such a history worth discussing was well stated many years ago by Professor William Hansberry, the venerable African American historian, in a lecture entitled Early African Civilizations. He informed us that between the years of 1834 and 1908, there occurred a revolution in academic thinking about Africa's place in the outlines of the world geography and the world history, and that in the past 150 years, European explorers and archaeologists have found in the valleys of the Niger, Benzwezi, Limpopo, sorry if I'm pronouncing these things wrong, and the Nile River, in the basin of Lake Chad in the Sahara, extensive remains of hundreds of ruins which bear witness to the existence of former civilizations hundreds and thousands of years ago. Professor Cheikh Anta Diop, the noted Senegalese scholar, expressed a similar view more recently. In Nubia, we still find a profusion of stone monuments such as obelisks, temples, pyramids, In Zimbabwe, Southern Africa, we find ruins of monuments and cities built of stone, over a radius of 100 to 200 miles around Victoria. In other words, those ruins extend over a diameter almost as great as that of France. In the region of ancient Ghana, the site of Kumbi, excavated by a French district officer, Bonnel del Mazuras, who discovered tombs of great dimensions, sarcophagi of cyst, metallurgical workshops, ruins of towers, and of various buildings. In the Lake Debo region, in Mali on the Niger, pyramids are found. We have already discussed the recent discovery of Eredo. Archaeology has unearthed two other civilizations in the Niger region, Nok and Igbo Ukwa. Artifacts from the Nok culture were first stumbled upon in 1928 by 10 miners who were digging in the region. Various dating techniques showed that the artifacts belonged to a civilization dated between 1000 BC and 300 BC. Iron smelting was conducted in the Nok culture from at least 900 BC. There is evidence of iron slag and also blast furnace wall. Isaiah Anozie, a Nigerian gentleman, discovered the Igbo Ukwe culture in 1938. He unearthed a number of artifacts quite by accident when digging in his backyard. Archaeologists have since dated the Igbo Ukwa culture at 800 to 1000 AD. According to one writer, the Igbo Ukwa finds show evidence of metalworking, weaving, and pottery making of unusual skill. The metalwork included 110 major and 575 minor copper and bronze objects of very high quality and a very distinctive design. The Jos Museum in Nigeria and many other institutions continue to house the rediscovered artifacts, but our focus for this chapter is actually quite different. In Nigeria, great monuments of historical importance exist. The Royal Palace in the northern city of Dura is known to date to the medieval period. Professor Domachowski, an authority on Nigerian architecture, wrote, "It is reasonable to presume that most of the original plan of the residence has not changed for several centuries." He continues, "The most impressive building within the palace complex was the Kufar Zure, the entrance hall. Its walls were extremely thick, up to 2.8 meters. The structure and the three-dimensional design were most imaginative and proved the proficiency of the builders in spatial composition. The roughly square interior was covered by a flat roof supported by an elaborate system of four main corbelled arches. They were supplemented by a number of semi-elliptical consoles or cantilevered beams, all reinforced with timber. The main arches, the Bazangizo, sprang from 8 pillars. The 4 pillars were standing on both sides of the main axis were square. The 4 along the transverse axis were round. All of them stood independently for only 1/3 of their height. The upper 2/3 of each pillar joined the walls of the kofar, thus forming an extremely powerful system of supports. It could be compared with the structural concept of the flying buttresses, but set inside rather than outside the building, and leaving a free passage along the walls around the Kofar Zure. This passage could be compared with the ambulatory of the medieval cathedral, to borrow once again from the vocabulary of European Gothic. This comparison, it must be emphasized, applies insofar as each problem was solved by similar thinking on parts of the designer. The structure, form, and purpose has no similarity to any European device." The royal palace in the city of Kano dates back to the 15th century, begun by Muhammad Ramfa, who ruled 1463 through 99. It has greatly evolved over generations into a very imposing complex. A colonial report of the city from 1902 described it as a network of buildings covering an area of 33 acres and surrounded by a wall 20 to 30 feet high outside and 15 feet inside. In itself, no mean citadel. Furthermore, the southern gate of the first millennium palace, Sadala, the original capital, still exists today and is part of the Kano complex. The royal palace in the city of Zaria dates to the 16th century, begun by Bakwa Taranku, who died in 1566, though there is some doubt here. It, too, has evolved into a great complex. Dr. Domachowski says of it, "The palace should be preserved as one of the most important monuments of Nigerian national culture." There are old mosques and minarets that are still in existence. Of these, most celebrated are the Gobiru minaret of Muhammad Kuraru, who ruled in 1444 through 1494, and the Friday Mosque of Zaria. Malum Mika Ilu, the Babagan Gwani, or Great Builder, built this latter construction between 1834 and 1846. Made of egg-shaped clay bricks, the building was surrounded by an enclosure that contained a court and an adjoining sanctuary. The sanctuary possesses 6 domes, but bears no resemblance to those of Oriental buildings. Complexes of clay arches that were reinforced with corbels of palm beams spanned the spaces within. Reliefs decorated the supporting piers and parts of the Qibla wall. Professor Montagan, author of Hausa Architecture, wrote, "The Friday Mosque, Zaria, is probably the highest point of Hausa architecture built during puritanical fervor. The relief patterns were sober and formal, the dignified work of religious reformers, and the very antithesis of the arabesque-like spirals, interlacing knots and chevrons typical of housing land for much of this, i.e. 20th century. The first impression on entering the mosque of the big sculptural forms. Decoration is restrained and in the background. And then I'll show you some of the pictures. These are some of the pictures from the mosque. Let me see. I think there's another one in here. It said on page 93. Here it is. Housed in Nigeria, entrance gate of the royal palace of Zaria, which was probably founded by Queen Bakwa, who ruled 1536 through 1566 AD. So 15, this is during slavery, while slavery is happening here, these great buildings are being erected. So please don't ever let them make you feel like your history started with slavery. It did not. And we have the proof. So, like I said, throughout Black history, I'm going to continue reading from this. And this is When We Ruled, written by Robin Walker. And I put a link to where you can buy the book. I suggest that you try to buy it directly from the publisher so that you can be supporting Black people during Black history instead of buying it from Amazon. And I actually don't even think that it's available on Amazon right now. At least it wasn't the last time that I checked. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully you got something out of it. And I will be reading from it again tomorrow. Talk to you guys later. Oh, hi. I didn't even see. Hey. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. I don't even know how to end this thing. Oh, there it is. I finished. It worked today. Usually Facebook don't let me go live.